Welcome to the Uncensored Self podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your own. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Uncensored Self. And today is kind of an off-the-cuff day. The topic I have for you is really around some reflection. And the reason why I think at the end of the year, we have a tendency to reflect, right? Like it's just natural. And especially when it feels, for me, it used to feel very much like I'm running out of time, right? Like the end of the year is coming. I'm not at my goals. That's always how I used to approach the end of every year. How far was I from the goal and what a piece of shit was I because I did it or didn't hit it, right? Like that was very much the story that I told myself, right? And usually by this time of year, if I hadn't hit the goal, if I felt like I wasn't going to hit the goal, I have given up on the goal and I moved on to the next year. That was my pattern over the years. And I'm pleased to say that I'm not doing that this year. Did I hit the goal that I set for myself financially? Not yet. Am I worried about it? Absolutely not. Because I think there's a lot of other things to reflect on. So today I'm just going to kind of share a little bit with you, and then we're going to let AI name the episode because I don't know what it is yet. But I do have some really clear reflection of like, for me, time has changed so much, right? Like time used to be a nuisance for me. And what I mean that is like, it was this thing that got in the way. It was this thing that moved too fast. It was this thing that didn't move fast enough. It was this thing that was keeping me from where I wanted to go. There was this thing that there was never enough of it, right? Like I feel like I probably have a pretty fucked up relationship with time because again, I was always looking at where am I supposed to be in regards to the day, in regards to the date, right? So here we are in November. Am I where I'm supposed to be? And then therefore I'm letting that dictate how I feel about myself, how I feel about time, what I feel about what I've accomplished. And this year, again, I'm not doing that, but I'm really at this place where holy bananas, like it feels like a year ago was yesterday and a year ago was 10 years ago all at the same time because I feel like I have changed so much in the past year. Like it's hard to believe the Uncensored Self didn't exist a year ago. Like the Uncensored Self was born on Thanksgiving weekend of 2024. So like this entire brand, the dozens of women that I've helped, the thousands of followers we've acquired on social media, I think we're up to like 50 or 60 episodes of the podcast that I have produced. Like none of this existed 12 months ago. Like how fucking cool is that? And yes, I am tooting my own horn because I think we could all be a little bit better at that. Instead of thinking, well, I didn't hit this goal and I didn't hit this goal and this didn't happen and that didn't happen and I never launched this thing and this thing. I'm like, no, I created an entire motherfucking multiple six-figure business that did not exist out of thin air in 12 months. Like, how cool is that? And this shift is really one of the big reflections that I wanted to share with you is I really this year have detached a lot from the results. And not that I don't want to create results, but that the results being the numbers, the number of clients, the amount of money, the number on the scale, like just not letting that hold as much weight. They are metrics, right? They are pieces of data. But when I think of, did I have a good year? In the past, it used to be, did I hit my money goal? Did I have a good year? Well, did I get to go on the vacation I wanted to go on? Did I have a good year? I don't know. Did I lose the weight that I said I was going to lose? And depending on those answers was depending on how I felt about my year. And the way that I've been looking at things lately that has been so helpful and what I think has made the last 12 months so powerful for me is there's so many other metrics to look at. Like the things that I have done in the past 12 months, I've lived a lifetime in 12 months. As far as the content that I've developed, the person that I've become, the trips that I've been gone on, the conversations that I've had, like how cool is that? And so if I only looked at the numbers, I would see 2025 as a failure. But when I look at all of the other things that were amazing and have been amazing, and are still amazing in 2025, I've had an incredible motherfucking year. And we get to choose. We get to choose the story that we tell ourselves. We get to choose the metrics that we focus on. We get to choose the meaning that we give things. We are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. So as I reflect on 2025 and where we're going and what's going on, I hope that you can root into this with me and really anchor into this with me because I forget sometimes that this brand is only 12 months old and that some of you may or may not know, right? That I had a 15-year corporate career. I left corporate America in 2019 after having Georgia. And it was actually Davis in 2017 after I had Davis and went back to my cushy corner office and my six-figure corporate job. And was the first time I was like, I don't think this is what I meant to be doing. And that was really where the idea was born. And then, on the heels or really on the front end of Georgia's maternity leave, or my maternity leave with Georgia is when I became a full-time entrepreneur. So June of 2019, I built a $1.2 million business in about 2.5 years. And then it all fell apart. And there was a business divorce, right? I had a partnership at one point in time that went very south. I had an actual divorce. I did divorce my now ex-husband. There's a bankruptcy in there, which is also part of divorce, right? Like there's been health stuff, there's been identity stuff, and there's just been a lot of shit in my life. And I used to tell that story from shame. I used to tell that story of, let me tell you about all the things that I fucked up and all the things that I've overcome. And what I really want to share with you today is that this episode is really about reclaiming that story and shifting how I see my past and helping you shift how you see your past. Because when I tell this story, it's like I tell it like it's a fucking tragedy, right? Like, oh my God, look at this terribly hard life that I've had, right? Yes, there's a dog sitting next to me. I have one of those ADHD chairs. For those of you that watch the video of this, I have one of those ADHD chairs where like you can move the feet around and you can sit crisscross applesauce, or I put a lot of pressure on my back and my hips. So anyway, there's this like little sidecar thing, and my dog hops up here sometimes and hangs out with me, and it makes me giggle every time. But the first thing I want to share with you is like, it's not a tragedy. I used to frame all of these things as failure. Look at all the ways I fucked up. Look at all the ways that things didn't go right. Look at all the ways that things, my life was hard. But now I can fully see that as preparation. Every single challenge that I have faced, everything from divorce, bankruptcy, all of the things, rebuilding a business from scratch, leaving an industry altogether, all of that, like, I needed all of those things. I needed all of those things for this version of me, right? The tools, the skills, the awareness, the relationships, the things that worked and the things that didn't work, they were all needed for this moment. That story is not a tragedy. That story is a triumph. Right? The human experience is about going out into the world and deciding what you do and don't like, right? Abraham Hicks always talks about this as like sifting and sorting, right? I like this. I don't like this. I like this. I don't like this, right? Life is a constant refinement process. And if we can see every single thing that happens in our life as a gift, even the shitty things, even the terrible things, even the traumatic things, because there's some of you out there like, I cannot see this happening as a gift. I cannot see this happening as a gift. I understand in the moment that traumatic things happen, right? I understand that sadness and grief. I'm not proposing that we downplay those things or plow through those things or not address those things. I'm saying that we don't let those things become the thing that keeps us from who we're supposed to become, right? Life's. Shitty things happen, unfortunately. But how we handle those things, how we face those things, what we make those things mean, the attention that we give those things, and the story we tell about those things really dictates our life. So for many years, I told those stories from a place of, I fucked up my entire life. Look at what happened, but I overcame it. Instead of, I created a life that I'm fucking obsessed with in every single way. And of course, I had some rough moments. And of course, some shit didn't go the way that I wanted to. But just like I said, when I look back over the last 12 months and I tell you that like the body of work that I currently use to support my family didn't exist, like, holy cow, like how incredible is that? That I have been a full-time entrepreneur since 2019. I have communities of tens of thousands of people across the internet. We never tell those stories because gosh, that would be bragging if I told you how great I was about all the things. But I can tell you that I went bankrupt and I went through a business divorce and I went through a divorce and I lost 60 pounds and I fell in love with the man I went to high school with. And that's considered acceptable. We're like, hey, we like her. But if we're like, I'm just fucking winning at life, we're like, she's no fun, right? But I'm sorry if you're going to get sick of that. But here from now on, we're only talking about fucking winning. And not that I don't want to hear the hard things in your story. It's such a big part of the work I do with my clients. It's just, the story is not a tragedy anymore. The story is not a woe is me anymore. The story is not look at all the things I fucked up and all the things that life went wrong. It's look at what I've experienced and look who I have become because of those experiences. Because I don't know about you, I'm pretty fucking proud of who I become out of those experiences. I'm pretty fucking proud of the things that I have overcome, the ways that I have not given up on myself or my brand or my business or my passion or my heart or my soul. I feel really proud of that, right? And so I started looking at these specific things and the big ones, right? Like bankruptcy is a big one, right? I had so much shame. Like there is no amount of shame that you can tell me about bankruptcy that I did not have. Like you cannot shame me for filing bankruptcy because I can't even tell you what that did to my soul at the time that I went through it, right? Actually, it wasn't my soul. What it did to my human, what it did to my ego at the time. But really, what bankruptcy became is a tool. It was a tool. That's why it was designed. It was designed as a tool to allow me to reset. I used it as a negotiation tool in my divorce, right? I used it to be able to keep my house. Like it was a tool that I used. Am I proud that I wound up in that situation? Absolutely not. I'm not celebrating bankruptcy, but I'm also not going to tell you that I'm terrible at money and I suck at life and I have a hard time making money because I claimed bankruptcy once. If the tool wasn't needed, we didn't live in a weird fucked up situation where we give away money that doesn't exist anyway and we borrow money that isn't ours and we pay to borrow it and like think about how fucking broken the system is, it's a tool. It's a tool. I remember when I told my accountant, that I was filing bankruptcy, and he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "A lot of business owners do. Like, it's a tool a lot of business owners wind up using. That's why it exists. Like, it literally exists to keep you from losing your entire life." But for me, it was like filing bankruptcy was losing my entire life, but we used the tool of bankruptcy to avoid losing my entire life. And so to me, I can now see that as, yeah, it was a tough decision. And I'm not proud that I wound up in that situation. And again, I'm not proposing that that is something you should go out into the world and attempt to do. I'm saying that it doesn't make me a worthless piece of shit who is no good at money and who is never going to be wealthy because I filed for bankruptcy once. And so that's what I mean about these stories. So for me, it's like, this was the tool that I needed, right? When I think of my business divorce, my business divorce, I used to make it mean a lot of things about me and about myself. And, when your friend and your mentor and your business partner all of a sudden accuses you of really gregarious things, like it fucked with me for a while. And now again, there's obviously still a little stickiness in there. You can tell by the way I said it, but now it's like that woman, first of all, changed my life, right? Made me believe in things I did not know that I was even capable of, and put me in rooms full of people that inspired me in ways like, again, I can't take that back. Would I take back what I went through to have that experience and to be that person? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely, positively not. Bankruptcy, or I'm sorry, divorce. We're not supposed to get divorced. Divorces are really bad, right? Like, and we hear that is such a narrative of don't get a divorce, try, we committed to forever. I have a lot of interesting feelings about marriage and divorce. And again, I don't mean to, this is not about, I want you to have my beliefs. I'm telling you, like, this is how I went through this. Like, divorce, again, if it wasn't supposed to happen, if I wasn't available to me, why does the tool exist? Why does bankruptcy exist? Why does divorce exist? It exists because it's a tool. It exists because this is no longer a fit. So again, I can make it mean that I failed. But instead, for me, getting a divorce is the best thing I ever did. First of all, I'm in love with a man that I'm fucking obsessed with. Second of all, I'm raising my children with their father, and we have a really healthy co-parenting relationship, and our kids are so fucking loved. If we'd stayed together and forced ourselves to stay together and hate each other and let it get to the point where I've seen so many of my friends get, that wouldn't be with my kids. So choosing to get a divorce was the best thing that I did for myself, and it's the best thing I did for my children. And I'm going to argue it's the best thing I did for my ex-husband because he's in a relationship with a woman who is really lovely, and the kids love her, and he's happy, and she's such a better match for him. So I can have shame over the fact that I failed marriage, or I can be proud of the fact that I didn't stay in a marriage that wasn't working because the world said that I should, that I didn't stay somewhere that I didn't want to be out of obligation and out of fear, because that's not the woman that I am, right? So for me, it's, it's a tool, and I used it, and it's a great part of the story because it led me to where I am today, right? Things like our failures, I'm using air quotes, right? Like, they're not fucking failures. They're just things that didn't work out right. Like, we get so caught up in, I had a failed business and this didn't work and that didn't work out. It's like, I just tried a lot of ways that weren't aligned. Right? I didn't have the tools then that I have now. I didn't use my intuition. I didn't play the energy game. I didn't know anything about universal law. So I can't even call those things failure. I just didn't have all the information. I tried a lot of ways that didn't work. I tried a lot of ways that weren't aligned. I tried a lot of ways that didn't land where I wanted them to land, but they were not failures. Each one of them gave me data. They gave me information. They gave me gifts. They gave me opportunities. They gave me new contacts and new people, right? Like, do you see how the story you tell yourself about your life dictates your life? So I can be a fucking divorced, bankrupt loser, or I can be a woman in the hottest relationship I've ever been in my life with a man who is really fucking amazing, running a business that I fucking love, and living in a house that I am obsessed with. The circumstances haven't changed. The way that I tell the story changes. So I'm no longer telling my story of what got me here as this woe is me, gloom and doom, look at all the ways I fucked up. It's I became a person I am fucking obsessed with despite all of the things that I went through. And I find the gift in everything. And when we learn to find the gift in everything, life becomes a gift. I say this to my clients all the time, when you find the magic in every moment, life becomes magical. But if you find the doom and the gloom and the hate and the sadness and the judgment and the guilt and the shame and all the things that you've done, you're going to only find more of it, because what you put out, you get back. Okay? Guys, everything's made up anyway. Money is a made up system. Marriage is a made up system. Used to be a bartering system. Like, it, you know, banks lending, charging interest, married, not married, prenup, all the things, right? It's not even real. They're just things that have been put on by the world. And I'm sorry if you have belief systems about these things, but like, to me, when I really think about it, is these are just other people's belief systems. But what I really want to communicate here is the story isn't what happened to me. It's what equipped me. Those things happened to give me the tools that I have today that I use in my everyday life to make my life amazing, but I also use with my clients to make their lives amazing. So I can't say that I wish those things hadn't happened, because I wouldn't be equipped to serve my clients at the level at which I'm equipped now. right? That's kind of my first reflection for you on the year, right? Rewriting the story, the way that we choose to tell it, the way that we relate to it, the way that we talk about it, the way that we feel about it, change your life, right? The second thing I really have been reflecting on is manifestation, right? I'm very honest about, I discovered universal law and manifestation when I was trying to manifest more money because what do you know? I was about to go bankrupt. Yep. That is why. That is when, or it was actually before that when I discovered manifestation, but I thought it was to get something. I need to manifest clients. I need to manifest money. We've been talking about this a lot on the pod here lately, right? The question was always, how do I get? How do I get clients? How do I get money? How do I get the car? How do I get the house? How do I get the man? How do I lose the weight? Right? But all of those questions come from lack. How do I create something I do not have? Keeps you stuck in the frequency of not having. How do I create something I do not have? Keeps you stuck in the frequency of not having. Creation doesn't happen from lack, it happens from fullness. You can't manifest abundance on top of lack. And so for me, I had to really change what is the actual creation process? If I'm not trying to create from this place of, well, I don't have as many clients as I would like and I would like to create more, or I don't have as much money as I would like and I would like to create more, or I don't live in the house that I want to live in, how do I create a different one? Which is not the case for me at all. I love my house, but it's how do I create something I don't have instead of how do I become a match for what I want? How do I create something I don't have comes from lack. How do I become a match to something I do want is when we start fucking playing the energy game. That is manifestation. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't even really love the word manifestation. I've said this to you guys before because the whole idea of you need a manifestation coach, you're creating your reality 100% of the time, whether you realize it or not, right? There is no such thing as coincidence. There is no such thing as accidents. There is no such, you get what you're an energetic match for 100% of the time, whether you realize it or not, whether you admit it or not, whether you accept it or not. I believe that to be true in my core. Right? So I don't need to teach you how to manifest, right? None of us need to learn how to manifest. That's really not it at all. We need to realize that manifestation is more about identity and who we are and our energetic match than it is about the things. We have a tendency, because of the world we live in, to focus on the things, and that creates a lot of chaos and drama. At least it did for me, right? So the way that I've been working through this is I decide ahead of time how I want my energy to go. Before I get in the sales conversation, I decide how my energy is. Before I create the piece of content, I decide how I want to show up. Before I get on the coaching call with clients, before I record this podcast, I pre-pave the energy. I am the creator of my reality. I'm not discovering. I'm not let me put this out here and cross my fingers and see what happens. So I'm very intentional about what I'm creating, why I'm creating it, and what I intend it to do in my life, right? We're building from identity. We're building from emotion. We're building from connection, not from need. Because whenever you come from a place of need, you come from a place of lack, and you can't be a match to what you want when you are in lack, right? I'm going to just tell you some stories that might kind of anchor this into you. So I have a client who recently, her husband planned a surprise weekend trip. They've been together for, I want to say 14 years or something bananas like that. She did not hire me or enter into my coaching containers because she wanted to fix her relationship. It was actually, again, career related. Most of my clients, that's why they show up in my world. And out of nowhere, this man plans a weekend trip to Mexico without asking 400 questions or worrying about the budget. He was just hey, babe, let's go away for the weekend. Bada bing, bada boom, booked. Let's go. What? Yes. That is what we're talking about. She didn't manifest that. She didn't sit down and be I wish my husband would plan this beautiful vacation for me. We really anchored into what kind of life do you want to have? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in your relationships? How do you want to show up in your career? How do you want to show up with your children? How do you want to show up with your friends? And we really focused on how do I become the woman who has a really thriving marriage? That was one of her goals, of course, right? But she came in for business stuff. But in my work, it's always holistic. I never just focus on the thing. I know business is what we do, but business is the symptom. I say that often, right? Business is the symptom. Money is the symptom. Achievement, accomplishment, all of that. Those are the symptoms. They're not actually the problem, if you will. But what most of us are doing is what do you want out of life? Well, I do. I want a really healthy, thriving relationship where I feel supported, where my spouse supports me, where we do cool things together, where he's on board for the stuff that I want. And so she just became the woman whose husband planned a trip away from her. She didn't manifest it. She didn't try to create it. She didn't create it from lack. She was I love this man and we have a really beautiful relationship and I love our relationship and it thrives. And so we've really been anchoring into that energy. And out of nowhere, the man is planning a trip. How fucking cool is that? That's what this work is about. Not about manifesting a trip to Mexico, but being in a marriage where your spouse surprises you with surprise trips because you fucking deserve it. That is the difference between I need to go get something and the identity of who am I being in the world? What am I being in relationship? I've been talking so much lately about our relationship to things. What am I being in my relationship to my marriage? Right? What am I being in my relationship to my business? What am I being in relationship to my finances? Am I playing victim? Am I showing up from a place of lack? And at least for me, the answer was yes, right? She wasn't trying to get something. She wasn't trying to get that. She became the woman who received it, right? So when we stop trying to manifest from I don't have, we start creating from who is the woman who experiences this. And when I start showing up as that woman, then the outside results mirror that. So when we ask the question of who is that woman? Who is the woman? Who is she? What does she think? What does she feel? And guys, this is literal. I know this feels like one of these silly exercises that I give you sometimes, right? But it's really true. Like, does the version of you running the business that you want to run think that nobody wants to buy anything from you? Does the version of you going on the vacations that you want to go on nickel and dime herself over every single fucking decisions that she makes? Is the version of you who has the relationships that you say you want to have? Is she gossiping with her friends about her husband? And I'm only speaking from it. Asking for a friend, not asking for a friend, right? We all do this. We say we want something different, but we still keep doing the same things, thinking the same things, thinking about what we don't have and reacting. When it comes to identity, it's like, I would never do that. If I was in a loving relationship with somebody who I was fucking obsessed with, I would not be gossiping with my friends about that person. If I ran a thriving business that I fucking loved, I would never complain about people being freebie seekers or tire kickers. If I had all the money I wanted to have in the bank, I wouldn't worry about how much money other people were or weren't making. There is so much mental gymnastics that we do that keeps us from what we want because we refuse to operate as the version of us who already has it. Because the version of you who already has the thing that she wants, she's not stressed out about how the fuck it's going to get here. How's that for a reflection? Right? And the last one, healing my relationship with feminine and masculine energy, right? I've been very candid. I've been very candid about, rejecting my femininity and where that came from, seeing it as weakness, seeing it as unproductive, seeing it as submissive, seeing it as, again, not a good thing to be in your feminine energy. But in doing this, I actually found some really deep internalized belief about men and the masculine that was really unhealthy, like really unhealthy. Like I used to believe that men are worthless and they're stupid and they don't respect women. And those thoughts, they weren't even based on my own experience. Like my ex-husband was my biggest fan. He's still my biggest fan, right? To this day, they were just old energetic beliefs. I didn't meet my ex-husband until I think I was 29. So I had, my entire college experience in my 20s of watching so many of my girlfriends get married and date and dating on my own of like to form this really unhealthy opinion about men and how they show up in the world and what value they bring. Meanwhile, I'm over here operating 100% of my time in my masculine energy, throwing shade at men like, no wonder I was so unhappy. And so I feel like this year, like really understanding some of those beliefs and how much those beliefs were holding me back. And those are things that aren't necessarily related to business, but they are, right? Because if you run your business out of balance, meaning all in your masculine or all in your feminine without the balance between the two, you're either going to wind up burnout or floating away, And so for me, I don't want either of those. I don't want to float away and I don't want to burn out. I want a business I'm fucking obsessed with and a life that I'm fucking obsessed with. So I had to stop with a lot of those things, beliefs about men and companies and the way they run companies and the way they do business. I just stopped making them wrong. Like it's been really wild, right? It's just been really wild. So I've come to see that like this healthy masculine energy, especially in relationships, is actually a cheat code. And so I want to be clear on this. I am not saying that if you are not in a relationship, that you're not going to achieve what you want or you can't have an incredible life. I'm not saying if you're in a relationship that isn't happy or thriving, that you won't achieve what you want. I will tell you that I believe that a healthy relationship is a cheat code. When two people are supportive and they communicate together and they're growth oriented, the growth becomes exponential. Right? When you have a partner who wants to see you win and you want to see them win, like that's power, right? Think about it in the Bible. When two or more are gathered, that is the energy of creation. So instead of, I don't need a man and I got this on my own, I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, on my back, that was how I viewed men for a very long time. And so being in this relationship where that is not at all the experience I have right now, and I'm a little uncomfortable sometimes with how comfortable I am with letting Derek lead in that way, with being in my feminine, with being in the support role in my relationship in a way that I have never been in my life. But I tell you fucking what, the way that I experience life now is so different. And having a partner who helps me and supports me. And like I said, I'm not saying any of this to throw shade at my ex-husband. It's just more the masculine and feminine energy is the part of this. Like I truly, truly believe that a really healthy, powerful, balanced relationship is a cheat code. Is it the only way? Absolutely not. But I also want to tell you, like, because some of you are thinking right now, like, well, Ryan, you got a divorce, right? Like, so what? Some of my clients have found that they need to exit their relationships and our work together. Others have determined that they've not. Like, I just told you a story of my client whose husband has never planned a trip for her unprompted without asking over a handful of text messages. So I'm not saying that like, oh, if we do this work together, or if you do the energy work, or you do whatever it is that you do, right? Or you work with me, then I'm going to tell you that you should get a divorce. I don't think that at all. I think you should be in a relationship that you are fucking obsessed with, whether it's the one that you're in, whether it's the one that you're looking for, or whether we need to transform the one that you're into that. Like, that's what I believe for women, but I do believe, like for me, that it certainly has been an advantage. It has been a cheat code. Again, not necessary. It's just my personal experience because that's what's going on, right? Partnership can amplify your growth when they're in an alignment, right? So I think this topic, like love, masculine, feminine, polarity, all of that is going to find my way into my world, but I'm not ready to start teaching it yet. So, but those are my reflections for the years, guys, is really changing the way you tell the story. I, up until very recently, was telling my story as a sob story. Look at all the terrible things that have happened to me, and I managed to overcome them, instead of I'm a fucking overcomer. I'm a fucking badass. Like, I have been knocked down and knocked down and knocked down, and I refuse to motherfucking get up, because that's how much I believe in myself and I believe in my power, right? Circumstances don't change. The story does, right? The second one is manifestation is not about getting anything, right? It's not about getting anything from outside of you. If you're trying to get something outside of you to make you feel better, you're naturally coming from a place of lack, and it ain't ever fucking showing up. And finally, your feminine energy is your superpower. And men are not the enemy. Even if they run businesses differently than us, even if you've had a bad experience in the past, that doesn't have to be the case across the board. Those are my reflections, right? Those are my reflections. So what's next, right? What's next going into 2026? I don't know yet. But what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks and probably months is really digging into business therapy. Going into the beginning of 2026, I'm actually going to re-release. Can I use that word twice? I'm going to teach business therapy live again in Q1. So I taught it live once last year. We've had, I think, just over a dozen women go through it. Some have gone through again with the recordings, some live. It's been really, really incredible. But I'm going to teach it again live. And if you guys don't know the stories, it was actually my client, Courtney, who is a real estate agent, that dubbed me her business therapist, right? Like, it started kind of as a playful nickname. She's a realtor. She didn't like a coach. She was like, I just really don't like those words. I don't like that language. It's not for me. But it literally turned into like this entire body of work, which I just think is so much fun. And the reason why this really matters is when I think of my work in the world, right? Like, what is my gift? What is my heart? What is my mission? Who am I called to serve? And for me, I'm really called to serve women where business is the catalyst for growth, right? And what I mean by that is women with big career ambitions, whether it's in a business, whether it's in a corporate career, whether it's in real estate, mortgage, entrepreneurship, direct sales, like, I don't really care, but women where like your professional growth or your professional dreams are this catalyst for growth in your life. Because I think it reveals all of our stuff, right? I always say that business is the symptom. Business is where worthiness, identity, and energy all collide for powerful women. Because again, business was built by and for men. So when we choose business as our way to grow in the world, as our way to express ourselves in the world, as a way to share our heart and to share our passion, we're going to have to question everything, because most of it was not built in alignment with who we are. And that is why so many women, many of you are seeing, I know I see it every single day, are winning according to society standards. And inside, they are unfulfilled. They are unhappy. They feel like they are on a treadmill. Every day feels like fucking Groundhog Day. And quite frankly, they're miserable. At least I was, right? I am so passionate about helping other women use business as the vehicle for self-expression and alignment. And so that's really what we're going into as we finish 25 and into 2026, is this re-release of business therapy, right? Like, right now I'm reviewing all of the content. I'm re-listening to the modules. And let me tell you, there's just something so fucking cool about listening to your own stuff and being like, fuck, that was good. It's so fun, right? But I'm integrating new lessons. I'm pulling in more masculine and feminine energy. And we're actually going to do like a pre-enrollment Thanksgiving weekend. So this should come out a couple weeks beforehand. I don't know. I'm so disjointed from time right now, but you can join early. So I will not be teaching live until I get back from the Closers Cruise, which is in January. I'm actually speaking on a real estate cruise for a week. Oh, I'm going on a cruise for a week. I'm only speaking once for 30 minutes, but we're going on a 7-day cruise in January. And so I'm going to start teaching the new lessons after I get back from that. But for anybody who joins business therapy before then, and the program itself, right? So guys, I talk about business therapy in two ways. There's business therapy live, which is totally free. And it's just like an hour-long opportunity to come in and ask questions. It's like a live Q&A to kind of experience is business therapy for me. So if you are somebody who's like, hey, this sounds interesting to me, go to the link in the show notes and sign up for business therapy live. I host them once a week. I move the date and time. They're usually Wednesdays and Thursdays, around quite a bit. So if you want to, just see, hey, what is this experience? You can do that. But business therapy is also a 12-week program. It's a 12-week coaching program. It's a group coaching program. We are also going to do a price increase of what it was. So in 2025, it has been $3,000. In 2026, it'll go up to $4,000. And that's another way. If you want to get in early, send me a DM. Let's talk about it. Who is this program for? Right? Like I've really been playing around with that as I replan and think about the content and how I want to structure it. Some of it's going to stay exactly the same. Some of it needs a little bit of an update. But I feel like there are two women who tend to join business therapy. There are the ones who are winning but unhappy. So these are the ones who like I hit the goals, I do the things, my business is fine, I make money, but like I'm not really fulfilled. I don't really enjoy this. This isn't actually what I want to be doing. I get a lot of this from women. This is not actually what I want to be doing. I really prefer to be doing something else, right? And then there are the women who have a lot of fulfillment in other areas of their life, but their career or their business fails off. So sometimes there are women who are like, my relationship is amazing and my health is great and I have great friendships, but my career just kind of limps along a little bit, right? But the common denominator between the women I help is that business is the mirror for the next level of growth. Like business is the thing for you. So if you want to have a conversation about it, like let's talk. Send me a DM. Like I said, I'll honor the current rate before we go public with it. But I'm just really excited about where we're going. I'm excited about 2025. I'm excited about business therapy. I'm excited about really taking each of these concepts deeper into the content in business therapy and business. And so obviously some of that's going to be shared here on the podcast with you guys as well. So what are our core reflections, right? Let's wrap up. I'm going to finally go back to my notes. Every challenge is a tool. Every challenge is a tool if you choose to see it that way, right? Manifestation is identity, not effort. And understanding and healing my feminine and masculine energy literally changed everything, right? Finding that balance changed everything. And I find that business therapy is the bridge between logic and energy and strategy and soul, right? It's like, I want to manifest. I want to be woo. I want to be wild. I want to have this amazing life and I want to make a fuck ton of money and I want to be really good at what I do, right? And I got to tell you guys, like, this is the most excited I have been in a really long time just about my life in general. Like, I love where I'm at. I love the lessons. I love the people. I love the journey. Nothing in my life went how I planned it. And I wouldn't change a fucking thing. I would not change a single thing because I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you. So let's have a killer end of 2025. It is not over. You are not done. I don't know about you. I still have some big goals to hit between now and the end of the year. I'm not taking my foot off the gas. That's actually why we're opening. When we open, if you join business therapy early, you're actually going to get to start attending coaching calls immediately. So you do not have to wait until January to get coaching. You can actually start now because I still got shit I got to do between now and the end of the year. But in 2026, actually from here forward, more truth, more alignment, more creation. I'll see y'all next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that that's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.